Hi, folks. It's Peter Lemieux from Rounding Third, Swing Batter. Underneath the banner of Batter Sports, we're going to talk about a baseball character today. This person not even a player, okay? But it's hard to be a baseball fan and not recognize the person I'm going to talk about. And the stories about them, myth and truth, are so massive that I can only briefly start the story. But my story today is about a fella named Harry Caray. Most people, if you remember him at all, remember him as the beloved Cubs announcer. He was fortunate enough to be broadcasting the Cubs game when they started a cable network, WGN, that was free nationally. So at one time or another, people all around the country could watch a Cubs game with Harry Caray announcing it. Harry was a crazy man, and he did a lot of things that people will recognize really belonged to him. But let me start the story. He was a baseball player in high school and wanted to play sports. Got a scholarship to the University of Alabama, but couldn't go even with the scholarship. He didn't have enough money. He tried to enlist in the Army in World War II and was denied because of his eyesight. So then he sold sporting equipment, and somebody talked him into announcing games in a small station in Joliet, Illinois, where they made him change his name. See, his name wasn't Harry Caray. It was Harry Carabina. And they said, this is not a good radio name. So they changed it to Harry Caray. And he was always effervescent and loud and outgoing. And finally, in 1951, the St. Louis Cardinals hired him to do their games. Now, people may not know this, but he was the broadcaster for the St. Louis Cardinals for a long, long time. He started in 1951, and on the side, he would do the St. Louis Flyers hockey games. So he was in the St. Louis, he was known. Back then, it was all radio. And so you knew your teams through the radio announcer. He did, as a Cardinals announcer, broadcast 3 World Series on NBC. He broadcasted the 1957 All-Star Game in St. Louis, and he also had the call for Stan Musial's 3,000th hit. In 1968, he was nearly killed when he was struck by an automobile crossing the street. He couldn't be with the team on opening day. However, well, that's not true. They announced he couldn't be on opening day. But when opening day came in St. Louis, fans cheered as Harry came out on crutches on the field, took the crutches and threw them away and waved to the crowd, and they went nuts. We had the making of a guy who was becoming more popular than the team. He was with the Cardinals from 51 to 69, folks. That's a long time. And then he was not renewed. Now, the reason he was not renewed is story of myth and whatever. Truthfully, Harry did an amazing job for Anheuser-Busch because he sold beers while he was doing the game, advertising constantly. Harry was a renowned drinker. He made no secret of the fact that he loved Budweiser, and he would talk about it game after game after game. So he was making money for the team in 2 different ways. So why did they not renew him? Well, we don't really know the truth. There was a rumor around that he had had an affair with Bush, the guy who owned the Bush beer company, Augie Bush, with his daughter-in-law. And it was all denied by people, and it was all myth, and it went away. Subsequently, evidence has come out that there may have been more to that than we know. But I'll drop it at that, and we'll just say, here is Harry going off after getting let go by the Cardinals. He went to the Oakland A's for 1 year, where he did not get along with their owner, Charlie Finley. Charlie Finley told him to stop saying holy cow. We all know Harry Caray as a holy cow guy, right? Charlie Finley wanted him to say "Holy Mule." Harry wouldn't do it. And they got mad at each other, and at the end of 1 year, they quit. Harry then got scooped up by the Chicago White Sox, not the Cubs, in 1971. And he was as popular as ever in the south side of Chicago. Harry did things like broadcast the game from the left field stands, where he would be talking to fans, drinking his Budweisers and calling the game and interviewing the fans during the course of the game. But while he was on the White Sox, Harry called the famous Disco Demolition Night. Now, if you don't know what that is, we'll talk about that at another time. But a local DJ, sick of disco, said between the two games of the doubleheader, we're going to destroy disco records because I'm sick of it. Well, what happened is, after a game of drinking, the fans came out in the field, a bonfire started, and records were melted, and they finally called the second game off. Cops had to come in to control the crowd, and that was a nightmare, and it's famous, Disco Night. Harry, after 1982, left the White Sox. Not as controversially as he left the Cardinals. And he then got hired by the North Side Chicago team, the Cubs, where we all got to know Harry Caray. Harry Caray with the Cubs, like I said, got on national television through the WGN network. He's famous for saying "holy cow" all the time. But going to a Cubs game was as much seeing Harry Caray up in the booth. He would wave to people. He was gracious. Harry was a people person. He got known at a local bar across the street from Wrigley Field where he loved to go before and after games to talk with fans and drink his Budweisers. Still drank Budweiser, even though he left St. Louis. So those are some things that Harry is noted for. He was an unabashed homer. I mean, he would say, "Let's get some runs," after singing the seventh inning stretch song. He would, just talk about how the Cubs, needed more runs, they needed more pitching, and he was cheering for them all throughout the game. He really became an American institution. There's much more stuff about Harry, but I'll end with a story. From what I can tell from my research, I believe the story to be 100% true. Harry was doing his work, and he got a message from Elvis Presley that Elvis Presley wanted to talk baseball with Harry Caray and was sending his private plane to pick up Harry after the game and promised he would have him back for the next day's game. So Harry got on Elvis's plane, flew to Nashville, and went into Graceland. I don't know if that's in Nashville or whatever, but he went to Graceland where Elvis was. And the two of them had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and talked baseball until sunrise. Elvis loved baseball. He loved to talk about baseball. And Harry could talk about baseball for a month straight. When they finished their all-nighter, Harry got back on the plane, was flown back, and did the next game. Believe me, Harry Caray stories are much more than I've even hinted at. But to love baseball somewhere along the line, you got to have the experience of listening to and meeting Harry Caray. Oh, one more before I go. Harry would invent things to make the games more exciting. And at one time, he decided he would try to name the opposing team's players by reading their last name backwards to see what it would sound like. And he completely, it's a famous one, completely got mystified when he tried to read the name of Mark Grudzelanek backwards, and it was hilarious to hear him try that one.
Harry Caray tried to say it backwards last year, and that was kind of funny. Kanalizderg. Kemalizderg.
Harry was a blast. He made the game exciting. He contributed a lot to baseball. Whether you're a Cubs fan or not, doesn't matter. This guy is just a an icon in baseball, and I wanted to give credit to Harry Caray today. You folks have a great day. Love baseball. Coming up soon to some more exciting baseball as we prepare for the next season. Talk to you soon.